I'm here first Wednesday of every month, and it's just so wonderful to be here with you all. Just want to start with that because there's something really wonderful about gathering together like this in a group, and when we all have this shared intention, it just becomes so powerful. And so I'm excited to see what happens with this time. So I'll just, I can see one hand up at the moment. If you have anything you'd like to ask, feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself. We'll go with Sri Vidya first. Hi.
Hello, Helen.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You okay?
I'm doing good. I don't know if you remember me, but 2 weeks ago, I met you for the first time, and I was talking to you about the effortlessness. You went through the guided session with me. I've been practicing it as well. But one thing that I'm recognizing, yes, it's now, I'm starting to understand that the presence is effortless. It's right there. I don't have to work hard so much to get there. But at the same time, when I get into the presence, I feel good for about a day or so. I can feel the silence in my heart. But after that, it's like the total opposite. I'm suffering so much. And I also heard a lot of videos about where you were talking that it's pretty normal. But the thing is, it feels like there is a mood swing, and I'm unable to talk about it to people around, right? So they think that I'm extremely moody, but I am like struggling here. I'm suffering here because I'm completely overwhelmed by my thoughts. And at that time when I sit to do it, I'm just not unable to. It's completely sucking me into that whirlpool. And it feels like to people that I'm extremely moody, but I just don't know. I'm not trying to be selfish here. I don't know how to explain it to them that I'm undergoing this. Could you please help me out with this? And thank you so much for your guidance. That's the only thing that is helping me during the time of suffering. That's the only thing, the guided meditation, that's the only thing that is actually helping me try to come out of it.
It is very common, but it's a horrible stage of awakening, isn't it? It's you've tasted this effortless presence and silence, and then you are sort of seemingly thrown back into the opposite. And it's not grumpiness or irritability. It's just, for me, it was this sense of I just can't live as a separate being anymore, and it's awful to go back into that. Right? It feels really awful. So, if you, is there a particular thing that seems to bring you back into that, or is it just seemingly randomly happening, or what's going on with that?
Thanks for asking about that. Recently, I know this is a practical, mind-related life situation, but which is actually not the truth, right? When you see from the awakened perspective.
Well, it is in that it's whatever event occurs in our external world, it's our thoughts and emotions about that event that are seemingly pulling us out. Attention goes away from the effortless presence and out to the mind. So it's useful to have some awareness of, oh, when that thing happens, these thoughts are the ones that I seem to have a lot of they seem to have a lot of gravitational pull to my attention. I can't seem to resist them, even though I don't want to. Attention's still going. So just to look at it and say, even ahead of time, when that person shows up or this thing happens, that's when I'm going to really struggle. That's when I tend to feel that I've lost this presence.
Yeah. So it is a recent breakup, and it's more like a betrayal kind of a breakup. I'm still confused about a lot of things. it keeps coming up as to what I'm going to do, a lot of uncertainties. Living with this person, I'm like, I'll be alone here, I have to start fresh. It's a lot of I don't know kind of situation, which I'm trying to get used to. I'm trying to be comfortable with the fact that I don't know, but the trust factor is still
not effortless.
It's still new to me. It's still new to me. I'm learning to trust the process. I'm learning to trust myself, but it's
so it's an area of our lives where perhaps we've seen that there is this effortless presence that we really are, and then this area of our life pops up where we tend to have real strong feelings that we need to know what to do. Like, I need to figure this out. I don't want to end up on my own, whatever age with and not have this sorted. So mind does what it does and starts thinking about what to do. That's what it does, isn't it? And what happens then is we identify with being someone that can do something, not about the relationship per se, but we might look at the noisy mind and say, that's what's pulled me out of my presence, my peace and silence. But it's actually the idea that we have to do something about the mind, that we can do something about the mind, that is the one that's really disturbing us. So as counterintuitive as it seems, if you're in that presence and, oh, this is lovely, this is so nice, and then something happens, mind start doing its thing, can you just, to the best of your ability at least, just let it talk? Give it like 150% permission to go nuts. Like, go nuts, mind. Just talk as much as you want. And I know it sounds really insane, but it's actually our trying to stop the mind that fuels it, because we're putting attention on it to say, you shouldn't be this way. And it's the powerful attention of the self, the infinite self, the presence, that's unknowingly fueling the mind. So the moment you kind of step back energetically and go, have at it, do what you like, mind. There's no friction there or resistance there to fuel it. And you're just being that presence in which the mind is happening. So mind says, if you don't do something about this, it's never going to resolve itself. But I'd flip it over and say, because I'm trying to do something about this, it can't resolve itself. Can you get a sense of it?
But even if I let it be and say, okay, express yourself, it's kind of disrupting my, like, if I have a meeting in the next 10 minutes, I just don't, I'm not in a state where it's completely pulling me in. I'm like, I was so all right a few hours ago, and it's like,
because you see, you're still trying to do something. It's pulling you in and you're trying to pull back. If it's pulling you in, go in. Make no effort to save yourself from the mind. I know that sounds completely like that's crazy advice. That's never going to work. But trying to get out of it isn't working, is it? So if you just let that happen, okay, if I'm going to get lost in thoughts, let me go into it. Like, can I even willingly go into it? And the moment you give permission with whatever's happening in that moment spiritually, then there's no resistance within you at all, and mind collapses. There's this tug of war. Attention wants to go to the mind, and you're going, no, come back over here, as if you had any capacity to do anything about it. But that presence, what is it doing? Is it doing anything?
It's not able to do. I try to see myself suffer. I try to see myself cry, but maybe after a while, maybe after trying for a long time, I shouldn't say try. I should say, like, let it be for a few hours, and then I get tired and I just sleep off, and then it gets better the next day.
So let's just take a closer look at this. There's you here, the presence, the effortless presence, and then there's your mind in front of you doing its thing. In between that is attention. And sometimes when attention turns around to look at you, the presence, everything's fine, so peaceful, everything's right. How could I have ever suffered? And then attention looks at mind, everything's terrible. My body feels contracted and negative emotions. I'm like this grumpy old bear, you know. But it's attention that's doing this. And you think it's you. You're here, attention, and then the mind.
Okay.
Right? So can you do anything about where attention goes as the presence? Take your time with this one.
All I can do is watch myself suffer at that time.
And as the presence watching, are you suffering? Even when attention's right on the mind and you're just here.
There are gaps in between where I see myself not suffering, but the majority faces, it's overwhelming.
Let's go into the presence now, you and me. And you tell me, in a direct experience now of that presence, can it suffer?
No.
No. Does it need to, or is it concerned about where attention is? So all that's happening here is we're momentarily identifying as the attention again instead of the presence. The moment we do that, we try to do something to get out of it, to get back to presence. But you can't do that because you're always looking from the presence. This caught me for a very long time. I've come out of it. How do I get back? But if you buy the idea that you've come out of it, which is what seems to happen, but it isn't actually so. It's just that attention has turned to look at all the noise going on in front of it instead of looking back at you and going, that's nice. When it does this, the body's relaxed, the mind goes quiet. At some point, it turns back out of habit. And then, we know where that goes. It goes off down a tangent and we feel lost for that time. So just confirming again, I'm looking from the presence. Do I need to do anything? Am I even affected by this mind going on as the presence itself? Can anything affect it?
Yeah.
So all that's happening here is a mistaken identity, isn't it? Whenever I think I'm suffering, noisy mind, quiet mind, it's just that I've gone back to identifying as my separate someone again that can do something. That's what's making me feel bad. Nothing to do with the mind, not even to do with the outer world, not even to do with attention, actually, just the fact I've forgotten who I am in that moment. So I reconfirm. And in that moment when it's kind of, you feel that pull and it's, I'm going with attention. You can just stop and say, if you can in the moment, stop, or as soon as you can remember, is this my problem? Do I have to sort this out? This thing that's getting dragged towards the mind. Is this actually my issue? Do I have to do anything about this? Can I do anything about this? And in that, you just kind of let go. You let go trying to change something because you can't as the presence and you don't need to. It's just this last little trick that mind's trying to get you to play with it. You know?
Mind this plays a lot of tricks.
Yeah, it's got a whole bag full. And this one is very subtle, isn't it?
It's so creative. If I'm trying to block one thing, it goes through. I'm like, I didn't see that coming. How I'm like talking to my mind. I'm like, I didn't see that coming. That was not even there on my mind. Where did you even come from?
So anything that mind suggested, once I'd seen who I really was, mind would try to get me to do something. Because if it can convince me that I need to do something about anything at all, then well, you're not going to be able to transcend your karmic patterns if you're just the presence. Well, let me actually see if they're even affecting me from there, if there even is any karmic patterns from there. My mind's going crazy. What can I do to get away from it? Do I even need to? There's the vast infinite presence in which the mind's appearing. It's happening inside me and not to me. And there's a huge difference there. So just kind of learning to kind of stand firm. This is not my issue. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying what you're selling. Take it somewhere else. Don't need to make the mind wrong. It's just, I know what happens when I do that. Right? We've been there, done that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Just reminding yourself who you actually are and just saying, if you can, or as soon as you can and afterwards, if you buy it for a little while, so what? We all do. And then just actually, whoa, that was a bit weird. That's not even my issue. Let me just come back to sanity again.
Okay. I hope that suffering reduces with time, because it's, when I was completely in suffering, it was okay, but now there is a contrast. I go through that bliss and then suffering.
And that's the issue right there. You think you're halfway. You think you were a separate person and you want to be the presence, and you think you're in the middle of swapping over. And I'm saying you've always been here, watching all of this going on. Thought thinks it's on a journey to awakening. Presence is already awakened. So from here, nothing that goes on in a phenomenal world or the mind or anything has the ability to touch you at all. So even if the mind's going crazy and there's all kinds of negative emotions and something blows up in your life, yes, you'd rather it not, but it's not, you're not suffering. When you get to that point where you don't actually mind what mind is doing, then it stops. If you're still trying to stop suffering, it's because you still mistake an identity, and we all do it, of course. I used to be over here and I'm gradually coming over here. But all the sages are saying, no, you've always been here. This is where you are. This is reality. All this is a dream, a really vivid dream, but nonetheless a dream.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Don? Can you hear us, Don? Are you there, Don? I'm guessing not at the moment. Okay. Does anyone else like to ask anything or share anything? Maybe we'll come back to Don later. Feel free to just unmute yourself and...
I'm back.
Wonderful.
It had some sort of like car thing going on, it said. Like I was driving or something, but I'm not driving. Anyhow, I'm like feels like I was smooth and going pretty well and present, and then my relationship, who I'm in business with, and then my parents, who I'm doing a lot better job of going into unconditional love with them. I'm doing a lot better with that, and but I'm struggling in the relationship and the business. And then I'm like trying to put my website together and our business website together. And I'm having like some reminders of some of the people when I was a public figure before, some of the attacks and some of the stuff that was going on. And maybe that's the thing to work on today, that I'm like having fear of all these people that don't know their oneness with me. Or I'm going to have to listen to that. And I think that's been some big noise for me, reluctance to put my work out in the past. Does that make any sense? Or do you want me to get?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. But the reflection is quite immediate. Sort of these people saying, doing things that are not so nice. And of course you don't want to experience that again.
I guess in a sense of like being talked about on talk radio. Now, I don't think it would bother me that much, that station and that group of people, but it was really under my skin pretty bad, knowing my father was listening to it and knowing they had a fairly big audience. And so some of that, and I'm sort of dealing with that.
Can you come to a place inside yourself where it doesn't matter what anyone says about you? Positive or negative. I mean, yes, the positive is nice, but we don't have to let that inflate us. And we also don't have to let something negative deflate us. But where's that place inside that it's more important your opinion of you than anyone else? Can you put yourself first in terms of importance of opinion? Because the reason someone else saying something about you that really hurts is because we tend to listen to that might be true. Something inside says, oh, that's, and it points at, it stabs at something inside that's vulnerable, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But if our own opinion as the infinite self is more important than even your own mind, then you're going to be cushioned and cocooned. And a lot of this stuff will fall away anyway from the reflection out there, because it's an inner reflection of our own sense of, well, for me, initially it was utter self-hatred and then self-doubt, and it softened into just dislike and then eventually turned around. But if I don't like myself, everyone else is going to have a really hard time liking me too. And they'll let me know, Mm-hmm. So looking at how you feel about yourself, you said you're doing much better at loving your family, etc., unconditionally. Now it's time to apply that to you. It's great to do it with others, but the real biggie is to do it with you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what if you make a decision here with me now, if you want to, that you're going to do your best to be kind to yourself. You're going to be your number one fan. And mostly that's going to be listening to what your mind says and then having the last word. Don't let your mind have the last word. Mind says, why'd you do that? That was really stupid. You always do that. When you make an error or something.
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose what you say after that. But it has to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Because self-love, I was waiting for this big event or something where I suddenly fell in love with myself again and, all of that. But it actually turned out to be a very ordinary moment by moment thing. Am I going to let my mind's opinion be the last word here? Because when does mind ever really have anything good to say about us? Every now and again, mostly for most of us, it's very, very critical, negative. And you can't do anything about those others out there directly, but you can indirectly. If you like yourself, if you respect yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't make you arrogant just because you like yourself. There's nothing to be wary of there. You're not going to get conceited or anything. You're just telling the truth. I am actually all right as I am. I'm doing the best I can. Can you get a feel of it?
Mm-hmm.
When it becomes more important to you what you feel about you than your mind or some external voice, which is just a reflection of the mind or the one mind appearing everywhere, then everything turns around. There's people out there really just voicing our inner dislike of ourselves, aren't they, most of all?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing we can actually do anything about. We can't change them, but we don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Those that still criticize after we've learned to love and respect ourselves, so what? That's just their opinion. It just bounces off this cushion of this insulation of self-love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, if somebody says something to you, you look at it, you take it in, you see if they might have a point.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do realize, whoa, I made an error, it doesn't come with that awful crushing feeling inside. It says, oh yeah, I did that wrong, I'm sorry, and let me try do something different next time.
Mm-hmm.
And there comes a point where you just want to commit to this. This is more important than anything else in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Given that your whole external world is a reflection of your internal world, this is like really important.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say something kind about yourself? For me, it was like pushing a boulder uphill at first, like, oh my goodness, can't even begin to think like that. But just putting a little attention on it. And then deciding that you get to finish the story every time.
Mm-hmm.
Or what would Ramana say about me? What would the Buddha say about me? Would Christ agree with what I'm currently thinking about myself? Not so much, not at all.
Yeah, it's very helpful. I watched a lot of the Pure Presence weekend, and I got a lot out of that. And then, I think a lot about the retreat and how you share how much you love us all. And
There's a lot of love coming out that whole week, isn't it?
yeah, and I just can sort of channel into that how much, even that's where I am too, to love the people, even no matter where it is.
But do that for you. Do that for you. Do you remember that last session, that last day? We were all just like totally in love with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew that we were deeply divine, that there'd never been anything wrong with ourselves, and there was just a mutual self-respect everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That whole room. Can you do that for yourself now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be more important than anyone else's opinion. We're not making anyone else wrong. It's just none of that can be how I want it to be while I'm putting something else first inside other than my own self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being so brave and sharing. Okay, would anyone else like to ask anything or share anything? Anyone got any challenges going on? Anyone just broken through something? I would love to hear. Melanie?
Yeah, I would just love to hear your opinion, because I haven't, my sister died maybe about a year ago, and she had a son living with her.
Mm-hmm.
And he has asked me to come out and be with him and help him. He's having a lot of health problems and has asked me to come out and help him. And I said, well, I don't think I could really help you in a week. He said, well, maybe you could stay longer. And I know, or I'm concerned, if I go out to try to help him, then I might go under. Because I was questioning, when my sister was alive, whether there was elder abuse going on. You know, sometimes he would scream at her, and she would try to help him in all these different ways, but sometimes he just wouldn't get up and go to the appointments, or he wouldn't, you know, sign the legal paper to get him that, whatever, that disability payments. But yet I feel so guilty, you know, thinking, oh my God, he's family, he's asking for help. But I'm afraid if I go out, he might start treating me in a way like he was treating his own mother, who was my sister. So I can't figure out, if I go into pure presence, then I think, well, he's fine, I'm fine, I don't have to go help him because we're all one. But if I go, I guess it's my mind that feels like he's family. Family helps family. I don't know. I'm like totally confused.
Let's if you want to, then let's stop trying to figure it out, and let's just ask this question here together. If you want to, let's just ask, what should I do with this? Or what's the right decision? Which one of those questions feels best?
They both,
or some similar question of your own that you know where I'm going with it, right? Just to
I guess
take it up a notch, and so that we're not trying to figure it out from here so much. So what's the best decision here, or what's the right decision here? Just some question that we can sit with together for a few moments and see what comes out of it.
I guess what's the right decision, but I think that's maybe coming from the mind, right? And the other decision going towards presence might be, what should I learn from this? I don't know. Maybe
they're the same thing, who knows? But really more important than the actual question is which kind of answers we're going to accept. So whichever question you start with, we'll just go with that, but we'll stay open, because we want really to get to an answer that feels like an experiential shift, where there's a knowing. You know, when you just know something is right, or you just know it's not right. It's a clear response from your body, basically saying yes or no. Or if you want to keep it even simple, should I go and help? You know, something like that.
Right.
Let's just sit with that. Should I actually go and help? And like any question, we're just going to see, the first thing that's probably going to happen is your mind is going to give you lots of answers. Well, yeah, you should go. You know, his family. No, you shouldn't go. Look what happened to your sister. You know, all these kind of positive and negative answers from mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let's just come back to that question: should I go out there to help? And we're just going to stay with that question. Just dig for some deeper answers. And everything is an answer. So if you suddenly get an itch, or you want to sneeze, or there's a knock on the door, we're just going to include everything in that. We're not going to eliminate any answers or as better or wrong answers, or there isn't a right answer here. We're just getting more and more in touch with the wisdom that actually knows already the best way forward for you. So should I really go out there and help? You probably start to feel a bit better anyway, just not trying to figure it out. Just like throwing the question out there and seeing what happens.
Should I tell you what I hear in my mind says to that?
Yeah. Any answers, all answers, if you don't mind sharing, that would be helpful.
So I hear, out of love for Greg, I should go. Out of love for myself, I shouldn't go. I get the different answers.
That's okay. So we just say thank you for those answers, and we're going to stay with the question. We're not going to grab any answer. We're just going to let the answers come, look at them, okay, and coming back to the question. The question is going to do the work here for us. So those are some answers. We can come back. Should I really go out and help? There's nothing wrong with those answers. They just don't really resolve anything, do they? Because they're still from the mind. So just sitting with this question again, reminding yourself of the question, not trying hard at all. And let's see what happens together when we just sit with this question.
Now, I hear yes, because if you're pure presence, if I'm pure presence, I can handle anything, and maybe I can make him aware that he's pure presence.
And how does that feel in your body? Does it feel different to the other answers? Better or worse?
Not really, because I don't think he's really kind of open to this pure presence.
So you can kind of sense, here's another mind answer, right? It's not wrong. It's just, we want something that comes with a real sense of, yeah, that's the right thing. Just a feeling. So let's stay with the question, should I go and help? Because if we're just waiting for a bus to show up, we don't have to make anything happen. The bus is just going to come along and drop off some answers, and then it'll be on its way. We're just here with the question. Should I really go out and help? So what's happening now?
Well, I'm hearing in my mind, like some people tell me that I'd be crazy to go out there, because probably that if his own mother wasn't able to help him, how am I going to help him? And I'm also hearing, to make him, to enable him maybe to feel loved. Maybe he would feel loved if I came out there.
And how do those answers feel? Better or worse than the previous ones, or same?
It's kind of like the same. I'm still like confused.
That's okay. That's okay. So coming back to the question again, should I go out there and help? Like, I've got no idea what I should do. I'm just asking whoever, asking myself, capital S, asking the universe. I don't need to figure this out. Maybe I've been trying to figure this out myself as a someone, as a separate being. When I'm doing that, I only have access to mind answers then, but there's some deeper wisdom within that already knows the best path forward.
I heard trust that presence is taking care of him, is the presence does have his back. I don't have to go out there, and I have to trust.
And how did that feel?
That actually kind of felt a little bit better than the other ones.
So you can kind of get a taster of we're getting into some deeper wisdom now, right? Just by not trying to find an answer. Let's just stay with it for another minute or two, because it felt better, but we want something with a real knowing, you know, that sense of, yeah, that's it, that kind of conviction in the answer. We're obviously moving deeper away from mind, and that's good. Nothing wrong with mind, but because if you decide that you're not going to go, you want to do that from a place without guilt, knowing that it's absolutely the right thing. And if you do decide to go, you want to know that that's absolutely the right thing. So just staying with it for a minute or two more and see what happens. Are there any other answers to this question? Should I go out and help?
That I can help just by sending statements, positive, you know, the way that you send statements to people.
Does that feel even better?
I don't have to verbalize it,
Yeah.
because I don't think he would understand what I was doing, but,
Yeah.
but maybe just.
So can you see, as we sit with this question longer and longer, we're getting deeper answers that come with a sense of power behind them, authenticity, rather than trying to figure it out up here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit with that process and just notice that the first and obvious answers that we've perhaps been mulling over for a while around this from the mind. And again, there's nothing wrong with those, but we're looking for answers that come with a certainty, where you just know this is the right way. And to access them, we have to kind of just let the first initial answers of mind come and go. Don't reject them. Mind's doing its thing, giving an opinion. That's what it does. But just then coming back to the question. And maybe you might even realize that this is the best way you can help. You know, just doing this inquiry might be a profound help in a way.
But
Do you feel that if you just sit with this, you're going to come to some kind of profound and obvious answer?
Mm-hmm. And doing this inquiry could help him. That's so interesting.
Because if you go out there from a place of guilt, you're going to end up sort of experiencing a rerun of previous experiences and manifesting situations to feel guilty about, rather than coming from a place of presence, of consciousness, of the self, knowing, or God, knowing that this is absolutely where I'm supposed to be right now, whether that's sitting right there or with him. There'll be a sense of, yes, this is the right thing here, what's going on right now. You're just kind of learning to dive deeper into this wisdom, to access this wisdom consciously that we all have and are. We just skim across the surface of the answers and just accept the mind answers because it's just a habit, isn't it? And that's all we're taught to do, really. Nobody else knows how to dig deeper. So we can't learn anything else until we're ready. Some part of you knows what will happen if you go out there. And some part of you knows whether it's the right thing or not already. And you can kind of just, by getting really still and open, you can tap into that. Sounds like you're starting to.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. Shall we just take 5 or 10 minutes to sit and do a little meditation? It feels nice to just dive into 10 minutes of wonderfulness. So if you want to follow along, let's just let's start with a nice deep breath. Let's do a couple of nice deep breaths to start off with. And just as you're breathing in, let's be sure to not only move our chest, but our belly too. We want to inflate all of our lungs. We're not stretching or over inhaling. We're just using all of our lung capacity, filling them up. And then just pausing slightly before you exhale for as long as it's comfortable. And again, we're not have to do any gymnastics. Just exhale when you feel ready. Squeeze your belly in a little bit, like a bellows pushing the air out. And then inhale again whenever you're ready. A little pause before you exhale. And then release when you want to. Let's just do one more. And when you have this little pause, you're just letting your body release everything it needs to get it into the air that you're going to exhale and to absorb everything from the air you've inhaled, giving it more time. It's also very relaxing just to breathe properly. We don't tend to do that. One more. Pause as long as you want to. And then exhale whenever you're ready. And then let's just be here right now in this moment. I know we already are, but let's just be totally, as much as we can be right here. What does that mean? It just means, are we really paying attention to this moment here? So we can be here, but not fully here. We can be off with our thoughts or thinking about tomorrow. Let's just get in touch with that. What sounds can you hear? What can you see with your eyes? How does your body feel right now? You're just really paying attention to what is here right now. As if something was about to happen that's really, really important. And if you're off with your thoughts, you'll miss it. So like this moment is the most important thing. Can you really listen? Not to anything in particular, just really listening. What can you hear? Somebody's going to whisper something really important. Let's make sure we're listening. We're really present. We're not trying, we're just here. something really nice about having all of yourself here in this moment. Thoughts come, just let them come and go. And it's kind of like just being really interested in this moment, like really curious. Just being here with me. No need to go anywhere else. Just listening intently, gently, openly. This moment has everything we could ever want in it, right here, right now. So wherever we go, let's really be there. Let's really show up. Let's take all of ourselves with us. Thank you for your wonderful time and communion community. I will say thank you, namaste, and hand it back to you, George. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
And let's see. Stop the recording.